Kalimera. I mean, Mayra is right. I mean, the last time someone was sitting with 5 beautiful women in these chairs, I think it was a Austin Powers movie set or something like that. But let's leave that on the side. First of all, I think this is extremely important for me. I would like to apologize to all of you, on behalf of the Greek nation, actually, for the terrible weather that you have been experiencing the last couple of days. To use biblical terms, this is, the equivalent in Greece of basically calling Noah's Ark out. So please bear with us. It's not exactly like that every day, as I'm sure you know, coming in the summer and visiting Greece during the holiday season. But it is important to say, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, which, as I said, it's a catastrophe in Greece. For anyone who's from Britain, it's like a little drizzle. So, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Michael Printzos. I am the Greece country head of an organization who maybe some of you may have heard before. It's called the Hellenic Initiative. We are a diaspora organization, which basically means that what we're trying to do is bring together, unite Hellenes and Philhellenes from around the world in a way that somehow sees them doing tangible work and supporting Greece. And we started back in 2012 when, the headlines around Greece were not that great. So if you go through the history of different communities, you will probably see that most of them united when there was a bad, story to be told. So there was a stigma. And that's what started DHI. And as, everything related to Greece in a way, we started with a lot of excitement with no plan. So we have to come back with a plan. So we came back with a plan quite, very quickly. And that was, let's support, organizations, non-profits in 2 very big pillars. One is economic development, the other one is humanitarian aid, which basically translates to giving someone the fish versus teaching them how to fish for themselves. So that's what we have been doing for the last 13 or so years. We have actually administered over 360 grants and donations to, hundreds, literally hundreds of nonprofits around Greece. And all of that has happened because, people like you, people like your fathers and your mothers, wherever they are, whether they visit us and they, become part of our fundraising events around the world, or whether they just, sign up for our newsletter and they make a small donation, all that money, all that support basically translates to this donation. So I'm very proud to be somehow associated directly and indirectly with the diaspora. And I'm extremely proud today because I've put another word next to diaspora, and that's youth. So, obviously I feel extremely old in front of you and you, which for me is a really good thing because it makes me think like, I need to take notes. I shouldn't talk too much. I need to basically hear what you guys, ladies, have to say. So I'm here basically to help you, share your thoughts, your stories, your insights. We had a Zoom call with several of you the other day, so I have some notes here. So I will pretend I know what I'm doing, which I think I am. And before I start by introducing all of you, I want to say a very big thank you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the General Secretariat of the Greeks abroad and public diplomacy, and especially our dear friend Mayra Mirogianni. I saw her the other day and I told her, what a wonderful thing is that, what you're doing here. 4 days in a row, people from men and women, young men and women from 30 plus, 31 countries. I couldn't believe that this is the second time that something like that is happening. It should have been like, the 200th, Greek Youth Diaspora Forum. But obviously with people like Mayra, with support of the government, and of course, with a commitment and engagement that you and your families have shown to an effort like that, I'm sure that, we will see this number growing. I will not be around, but you will probably be one of the panelists saying how old you feel to other generations and so on and so forth. So our topic today is volunteerism, is how we connect somehow with whatever we feel passionate about. How do we give back to Greece in a tangible way by basically sharing our time, our skills, our insights, and the different passions we have. So I would like to start from Josefina, and I'm starting from Josefina because, they're all ladies, so it was a little bit of a buffer for me. Who should I start from? And then I decided I will go from the one who traveled, the longest distance. So Josefina is coming from Uruguay. So, wow, what can I say? And also a big wow, when I spoke with Josefina the other day, she was basically, she shared a really nice story. Your grandma is Greek and Cretan, probably, you should put the Cretan before Greek. You just graduated from a psychology degree, that's right, okay? And you have been really, really, really heavily involved with different volunteering activities, especially around the youth, especially around children, shelters, you name it. So I would like to start with you, Josefina, and basically ask you a very simple question. What is it that inspired you to somehow engage on a volunteering activity, and how this, experience of yours has somehow, affected your own, personal or academic or even business life? So what was the gains, or what was it, the things that you took back from volunteering?
Okay, so hello for everybody. My name is Josefina. I come from Uruguay. And well, I started volunteering when I was 15. I started working with children, adolescents in a summer camp, and also, now I also work with teenagers, so I'm very passionate about it. And what inspired me was, first, I'm really passionate about working with children, and also my feeling for working every day for a better life for everybody. So we not all have the same opportunities. So when you understand that, it's something that motivates me a lot. And how did volunteering work shaped my personal life? I would say a lot, because I study psychology basically because of my experience working with people and getting to know people and children as well. And it's all of the skills that I need nowadays for working as a psychologist in my country. Basically I learned them by working with children, and by working doing volunteering job. It was very important for me.
Okay, wow, I mean, amazing. Victoria, would you like to maybe say a few things about, your own experiences in Australia, if I get it right?
Yes, of course. Kalimera, το όνομα μου είναι Βασιλική, της γιαγιάς μου το όνομα. Είμαι 23 χρονών και μένω στην Αυστραλία. I'm going to speak the rest in English. I'm still learning Greek back at home, taking Greek school classes, so hopefully my Greek can get a little better. But back at home in Australia, I have been volunteering and part of the Greek community most of my life, almost since I was a little girl. I would attend the church events and see my yaya and papu attending and helping out and volunteering. So my yaya would be in the kitchen at the back on a Sunday for a lunch. My papu would be doing the lamb on the spit as well. So we've been a part of the volunteering world, my whole life. So back at home, I am the president of a university society, the Flinders University Hellenic Association, and I have essentially, the club was dormant for a few years. This year I saw that there was a gap, there was no Hellenic club at our university, so I picked it up, and we've got now around 50 members, which is very exciting. We've had many events throughout the year, and we've managed to bring that one back up. We also, I'm also part of an organisation called Greek Youth of South Australia. This is a non-for-profit organisation, and we saw a gap where we wanted to connect youth around South Australia, and we wanted to create events where youth can meet, friendships can be made, and we're bridging the gap between generations, essentially. So these are volunteer roles, and I'm very much a part of these roles. I love it. I think it's very important to keep our heritage alive and keep connected to our roots as well. So that's a bit about where I'm from and what I'm doing back at home.
Excellent. Catherine, Vasiliki just mentioned, I just have two keywords in my mind. One is gaps and the other one is, the communities. And somehow, I'm sure things may be a little bit more, different in France, but somehow, if you have a similar experience, have you seen opportunities like that through volunteerism somehow strengthening the local communities and bridging those gaps that Vasiliki talked about?
Καλημέρα σας. Ονομάζομαι Κατερίνα Δρακοπούλου και είμαι από το Παρίσι. Θα τα πω στα ελληνικά, γιατί όπως είπε η κυρία Μυρογιάννη, προσπαθούμε να τα λέμε στα ελληνικά. Την οποία ευχαριστώ και πολύ για τη φιλοξενία, όπως και την κυρία Ξηδιά. Εμένα ξεκίνησε ο εθελοντισμός από τον αθλητισμό, οπότε το Hellenic Initiative που κάνει το Φόρουμ για τον αθλητισμό είναι εξαιρετικά ενδιαφέρον και ξεκίνησα βοηθώντας την παραολυμπιακή ομάδα ιστιοπλοείας να πάει στους Ολυμπιακούς του Ρίο το 2016, όντας και εγώ πρωταθλήτρια Ελλάδος στην ιστιοπλοεία εκείνη την περίοδο. Και σιγά σιγά όταν καταφέραμε να έχουμε τα χρήματα για να τους στείλουμε στο Ρίο, να έχουμε τους προπονητές, να έχουμε τον ειδικό εξοπλισμό για αυτούς τους ανάπηρους αθλητές, κατάλαβα πόσο σημαντικός είναι ο εθελοντισμός και σιγά σιγά συνέχισα και σε άλλα project. Πήγα στη Τανζανία σε ένα ελληνικό σχολείο, St. Constantine School, in Arusha, Tanzania, όπου και εκεί πέρα ανακάλυψα την αξία της συλλογικότητας. Και τώρα στο Παρίσι έχω μια πολύ similar experience με την Victoria, γιατί στο Παρίσι δεν είχαμε ελληνικό φοιτητικό σύλλογο και εγώ ίδρυσα το σύλλογο του Πανεπιστημίου μου.
Μπράβο.
Ναι, στο Πάνθεον. Και σιγά σιγά αυτός ο σύλλογος ξεκίνησε να παίρνει φοιτητές και από άλλα πανεπιστήμια. Και χάρη σε αυτό το σύλλογο συναντάμε εμείς που σπουδάζουμε νομική πολλούς δικηγόρους, αλλά όχι μόνο. Πηγαίνουμε σε εταιρείες που δουλεύουν Έλληνες, πηγαίνουμε στη πρεσβεία μας, πηγαίνουμε στον ΟΣΑ που εδρεύει στο Παρίσι. Και χάρη σε αυτές τις πρωτοβουλίες όλου του συλλόγου ερχόμαστε πιο κοντά με τους υπόλοιπους Έλληνες και με την Ελλάδα.
Τέλεια. Magdalini, any similar experiences on your end from, a completely different country like Slovenia? I mean, I've seen some themes being repeated here, whether it's a Greek fair, whether it's something that has to do with education, whether it's something in sports. So how is your experience around volunteerism? I mean, is it quite popular? Is it something that everyone does? Is it like an outlier if you're volunteering your time on something specific? Tell me your story from Slovenia.
Γεια σας, είμαι Μαγδαληνή και...
Beautiful name, by the way. All of them have beautiful names. Come on.
Ευχαριστώ. Και δεν μιλάω και τόσο καλά ελληνικά, θα προσπαθήσω. Θέλω να ευχαριστήσω τους organizers για την ευκαιρία να είμαι εδώ. Και για το volunteerism, νομίζω στη Σλοβενία δεν είναι και τόσο prominent. Δεν είναι κάτι που... Το κάνουν, αλλά we don't talk about it a lot.
Στην Αυστραλία ξέρω ότι είναι πολύ prominent, για παράδειγμα. Δηλαδή και ότι είναι πολύ... Όλοι κάνουν κάτι, οτιδήποτε είναι αυτό. Αλλά συμφωνώ μαζί σου, ναι.
Εγώ έκανα volunteering, ήμουνα hostess για διάφορα events που υπήρχαν, βοήθαγα...
Ελληνικά?
Όχι, για όλα. Έκανα charity work και I was collecting money για σχολεία στο Νεπάλ και για αυτό anniversary που έχει γίνει για το release from concentration camps και είχαμε και guests.
Στη 80 years.
Τι?
Είναι 80 years.
Ναι, 80 years. Ναι. Είναι, στη Σλοβενία είναι kidnapped children τα λέμε, δηλαδή αυτά παιδιά που τα έχουν πάρει από τα families και πήγαν σε camps. Είχαμε ένα talk μαζί τους. Αυτά για την Ελλάδα. Τώρα προσπαθώ στο σχολείο μου, αυτό που το community είναι πολύ μικρό στη Σλοβενία, Θα προσπαθούμε στο σχολείο μας να κάνουμε κάτι events μαζί με το ελληνικό φαγητό, να δείξουμε σε άλλους τι είναι να είσαι Έλληνας. Και μαζί με το school singing group, αυτοί θα τραγουδήσουν και τραγούδια του Χατζηδάκη και Θεοδωράκη, που είναι 100 χρόνια από τότε που γεννήθηκαν. Αυτά.
Μπράβο, όχι και λίγα. Μπράβο, συγχαρητήρια.
Ευχαριστώ.
Aspasia, over to you. Not far away from Slovenia compared to, Uruguay and Australia. So how are things in Bulgaria, let's say, with regards to volunteerism? Is it something really active and people are really passionate about different things? Is it something that just a few of them follow? What's your experience so far?
Καλημέρα σας, με λένε Ασπασία και έρχομαι από τη Σοζόπολη. Είναι μια πολύ μικρή πόλη στη Βουλγαρία, κοντά στη Μαύρη Θάλασσα.
Και με μεγάλη ιστορία. Πολύ μεγάλη ιστορία διασποράς ελληνικής, από τις πρώτες και πολύ δυναμικές κοινότητες.
Οπότε στη Σοζόπολη έχουμε το Βουλγαρο-Ελληνικό Σύλλογο Φιλίας, Απολώνια. Θα συνεχίσω στα αγγλικά.
Ό,τι θέλεις.
This is how volunteering became a really important part of my life since I was little, because I've been very fortunate to grow up in a family where we share an immense love for Greece, for Greek language, for Greek culture, and volunteering for the association, for everything that the association does, is something that you don't think about, you just do it. And it's the mindset of all of our citizens in Sisozopoli. And I didn't grow up and live my whole life in Bulgaria, but I lived in different countries. And I always thought volunteering is very important to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I volunteered with NGOs for migrant children. I did volunteer work in Berlin for an NGO that wants to foster an inclusive community for people coming from different places around the world. And I think just being a part of this association, the Bulgarian Greek Association, Sisozopoli, it's something that shows you how valuable it can be. It's something that gives you so much motivation to build connections between people, and it's something that you want to put all your effort in and time because you see the value of passing down your Greek heritage, your Greek identity,
Mm-hmm.
and connecting with people. And you can, there's so many opportunities that this can give to younger generations and younger diaspora.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Josefina, Aspasia just said that, something about the Greek identity, how you see yourself as being Greek. And I wonder, how exactly that identity as a member of the Greek diaspora in Uruguay has influenced the way that you approach volunteering.
Well, I think I listen to myself. I think being like part of the Greek diaspora has like this thing of thinking about identity and about migration from a very different perspective. It's something that helps me nowadays. I think mostly at work, because I work with teenagers in a like youth center, and there are many people from different countries. So when you understand like migration as something that is like it has like vulnerable things, like because I think that now like young people, like many young people, have some experiences abroad. Like for example, it was my case a few years ago that you want to study like abroad, so you have like a different experience in another country. But that's a very different situation from migrating for example, as it was like my family's case, for war. Like my great grandparents migrated like because of the war. And speaking also like from a psychology perspective, that has like a great impact, in your identity and also like in your personal history. I can see it like in my family, like the way we grew up, and like I don't know, I see like my grandmother and like how important Greece is, but I remember that she told me that she didn't learn Greek because their parents wouldn't talk to her in Greek, because well, my great-grandfather was like in pain, let's say, because of all what he saw. So I think that, yes, it's like a huge thing. Like, migration is not something you just do to have like an experience or like to discover another country.
Amazing. What a story also from your family, and it's a nice connection, you know, how you guys went to Uruguay to avoid the war, how your parents grew up, and your grandparents, whether you had a connection with the language or not, and for what reason you didn't have. So all these are really excellent points. And speaking about, you know, Greek identity, Vasiliki, and you know, what connects you with Greece. I had the pleasure to be in Australia several years ago, and I remember, you know, I landed there and I thought I thought the plane never left, and it wasn't just the jet lag. It was like full of Greeks. I mean, I went to Melbourne. Melbourne, for the ones of you who don't know, is like the third largest city with a Greek population after Athens and Thessaloniki. And everything, and especially in some neighborhoods in Melbourne, everything there is Greek. The food, the music, the drinks, the dances. And there is a heavy Greek culture in a good way. Excellent food also, by the way. A heavy Greek culture. And I wonder how that culture, this very dominant culture in the, you know, in the Greek Australian community, has somehow, you know, governed your own volunteering, you know, opportunities that you had, and the things that you felt passionate about.
So I'm from Adelaide, which is very similar to Melbourne, but just a little bit smaller. So we've got a lot of the same sort of culture. Food, dance is very important. I'm part of a Greek dance school as well. So I love it. We're very much involved in our Greek community down in Adelaide as well. But I think part of our Greek culture is about community and helping others. And I think that's also part of what I've grown up with, and I would say as a personality trait of myself, is that I'm very passionate about that, and then that in turn goes into the volunteering. So helping others to build friendships and build connections, whether that's through businesses, whether that's through social events. There's so many ways. There's a Greek word, I think it's called philotimo. Yeah. Yes, and I think that's very...
This word always pops up whenever there is a discussion in Diaspora.
Yeah.
It's just a matter
I love
of
it.
on which minute.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's very relatable. I think us as Greeks, we are born to help others, and yeah, I think that's part of our culture, and it's in our DNA. So we're born with it, and we want to be connected to our roots, which I think is very important. So our identity definitely shapes our culture, which I think we should take that into when we help out at events, whether that's festivals, churches, social events. You know, even I'm part of the committees, even just sharing a Greek post, or if there's an event coming up, liking and sharing and sending to friends. So those little impacts, it's all about helping and sharing it with one another to keep connected to our roots.
Excellent. I wanted to come back to what you said about, you know, the different things that you did in France. One of them being, which is super important, that you know, set up the Students' Association on University Pantheon, if I remember correctly. So you obviously have a good outreach in what is cool and what is not cool in whatever these students are thinking about. So I wanted to ask you, what kind of volunteering opportunities do you think are most appealing to young diaspora Greeks?
Εμείς στο Παρίσι έχουμε πάρα πολλούς νομικούς. Έχουμε και εδώ πέρα μπροστά τους φίλους μου από Παρίσι. Οπότε πιστεύω ότι στο κομμάτι της νομικής τουλάχιστον, εμείς που έχουμε κάποιες συγκεκριμένες γνώσεις στο Πάνθεον, έχουμε πολύ συγκεκριμένα μαθήματα. Εγώ κάνω διεθνή φορολογία και το κομμάτι στο οποίο εργάζομαι αυτή τη στιγμή δεν υπάρχει στην Ελλάδα.
Η φορολογία ή το διεθνή?
Όχι, είναι transfer pricing. Είναι ένα κομμάτι της διεθνής φορολογίας που δεν υπάρχει ακόμα στην Ελλάδα. Οπότε, μέσω του εθελοντισμού, εμείς μπορούμε να προσφέρουμε στην ελληνική κοινωνία αυτές τις γνώσεις, skills που έχουμε μάθει έξω.
Σαν οι internships, σαν αυτό που είπε και η Μάιρα πριν, ότι θέλουν να κάνουν εδώ πέρα, αλλά θα δουλεύατε με κάποιον οργανισμό, με κάποια εταιρεία εδώ πέρα.
Internships μπορεί να είναι ή και εθελοντικά, δηλαδή άμα κάποιος χρειάζεται βοήθεια σε νομικό κομμάτι ή όχι μόνο το νομικό προφανώς, μπορεί να είναι για τη τεχνολογία, για το περιβάλλον, για τα οικονομικά. Έχουμε τόσες επιστήμες. Οπότε, σε αυτό το τομέα πιστεύω ότι μπορούμε να βοηθήσουμε εμείς ως Έλληνες στη Διασπορά. Και why not internships, είναι κάτι που έχει συζητηθεί πάρα πολύ και που πολλοί μεταξύ εμάς θα θέλουν να κάνουμε.
Ναι, μπράβο. Okay. Magdalini, same question to you. If you had to basically pick up a topic or design a program, a volunteering program that you think sort of would probably work well with people of your age and of your background, what would it be?
Νομίζω αυτά που αρέσουν στους νέους είναι να μπορούν να είναι μαζί, να κάνουν show τα their values, να δείξουν και τι μπορούν να κάνουν και να μάθουν κάτι καινούριο που να δουλεύουν όταν δουλεύουν μαζί, δηλαδή πολλοί νέοι. Εγώ νομίζω τι θα μπορούσε να γίνει ακόμα είναι ότι we don't give that much thought for the elders, I think. In Greece, many grandparents, their children left και αυτά και μένουν μόνοι. Μια πολύ καλή ιδέα εχθές μου έδωσε ένα κορίτσι εδώ, άμα θέλεις, εδώ. If she wants, she can share some thoughts. Το μικρόφωνο. Απλά ήθελα να πω...
Έλα εδώ, έλα στη σκηνή.
Ότι και αυτοί μπορούν να... Ήθελα να πω ότι και οι μεγάλοι μπορούν να δώσουν ιδέες.
Δεν σου δίνω έτσι.
Ευχαριστώ.
Όπου θέλεις, όπου νιώθεις βολικά. Πώς σε λένε, βλέπω ένα QR code και δεν μπορώ να το κάνω decipher.
My full name is Navzot Korbatsva, αλλά όλοι με φωνάζουν Nav. Είμαι 25 χρονών και γεννήθηκα και μεγάλωσα εδώ στην Αθήνα. Μένω στο Καναδά τα τελευταία 6 χρόνια. Και ναι, όπως είπε η Μαγδαληνή, σήμερα, χτες, μιλήσαμε για ένα πολύ ενδιαφέρον topic και ήταν about the elderly. Θα μιλήσω λίγο στα αγγλικά τώρα. So I work with the elderly people. I volunteer a lot in Canada. And a lot of them, unfortunately, either are abandoned by their own families or friends. And unfortunately, some of them actually outlive their families, friends, children, pets, and they have no one to talk to. So I volunteer for an organization where doctors, nurses, personal support workers find volunteers like me who get to spend time with people who are in their 80s, 90s, and have no one to talk to. They don't have a shoulder to cry on, and they don't even have a way to get groceries. Yeah, so that's something that I do on a weekly basis. I've met a lot of people who've passed away. They have a lot of problems like spinal stenosis, cancer, depression, anxiety, and a lot of trauma from the long lives that they lived, a lot of life regrets. And yeah, I feel like the reason why I do this is because it's a demographic that we don't see outside. They're not as active as us. They don't go shopping. They can't get their own groceries. So yeah, I feel like it's a demographic that we really need to help, especially us being so active and having the energy to talk to people, to spend time with people. Why don't we socialize with someone who's older instead of our own friends every day? We can always meet someone new. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Πάρα πολύ ωραίο. Μπράβο.
Thank you.
Bravo, bravo. So thank you for making this point there. I mean, you know, it was really, really great what she was just talking about. I mean, and I love the connection between, you know, we always talk about, you know, the young people should be with the young, the older people with the older, and, you know, nothing in between.
Ήθελα να πω ότι άμα θα υπήρχε ένα πρόγραμμα για νέοι να έρθουν στην Ελλάδα έτσι ή να δουλεύουν μαζί με τους locals, θα είναι πιο interesting να έρθουν στην Ελλάδα, να μάθουν τα πράγματα και να έρθουν μετά πίσω να το κάνουν present καλύτερα στα countries τους. Αυτό.
Πολύ, πολύ ωραίο point.
Ναι.
Και
Ναι, νομίζω και οι μεγαλύτεροι μπορούν πάρα πολύ να βοηθήσουν σε αυτά τα πράγματα ή να Ο μπαμπάς μου τον ρωτάνε πάρα πολύ να έρθουν να δουλέψουν στις ζελίτσες που τα έχουμε να φτιάχνουν το λάδι και έρχονται και τους αρέσει πάρα πολύ και μετά ναι, βοηθάνε, τους αρέσει, βλέπουν την Ελλάδα, αυτά.
Πολύ ωραίο.
Ναι.
Πολύ ωραίο, πολύ ωραίο. Ασπασία, we're just talking about, you know, the elderly and the young and all these, you know, challenges there. And I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Bulgaria is probably one of the countries that outperforms Greece when it comes to how quickly the population is getting older, and there has been a huge wave of people leaving the country. The population is shrinking, so I wonder whether, you know, there are programs like that, or there is a special interest within the youngsters, let's say, to somehow engage with the older people and support them and make, you know, the last few years that they have, you know, to live them in dignity and you know, to live them with pride. So any insights or stories you can share with us from that field?
To be honest, the pattern is the same of young people leaving and working abroad because they find better opportunities, because they find better education, cheaper education, and they only come back to see their grandparents. Actually, they don't want to come back to live in the country, and it's this nostalgia and feel for your family that brings you back. But I think specifically when it comes to younger people, we need to focus on what is it that can bring them back from their interest, not just job-wise and not just...
It's a deeper connection, you're right. It's not just a salary or a good job, it's a deeper connection.
And I wanted to mention music, because I think this is something that connects people very easily, and you don't have to speak the language, and music can talk to you without like you necessarily living in the country where it comes from. And it's something that I volunteered recently at a music festival in Berlin, and we were all the volunteers. We came from many different countries, and yet it was the one thing that united all of us. And when it comes to my hometown, Sisozopoli, we all, the younger generations, we listen. We have grown up with Greek music, and it's something that everyone talks about. And I think we can use this to bring people back, and maybe, I don't know, initiate volunteering opportunities for music festivals in Greece, for diasporas, because it is something that is going to engage people in a way that they will feel a connection no matter if you speak the language, no matter where you come from, because it's something you grow up with.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love the point about music. Actually, as a matter of fact, we have been, you know, supporters of the Greek Youth Symphony Orchestra, which is basically people on their, you know, mid-20s, early 30s that are playing a musical instrument. They're really, really talented people, and we have been supporting them to basically travel around Greece and then outside of Greece and basically show the best of, you know, what this country can offer. And it was like amazing. We last year we had them in the Carnegie Hall, and it was an amazing experience for all of us, including the diaspora that live in New York and in the States in general. So I love that point. And having said that, I would also like to make a point that as an organization, we have a program called Volunteer Connect, which is like a little platform that we built, that on one end, you can see, it has a drop-down menu, and you can see, you know, I want to volunteer and work on this sector or that sector. And the other end has vetted non-profits that we know and non-profits that we have worked with. So I would encourage you, next time you visit Greece, or, you know, basically go there on the platform, see if there is anything that basically makes sense and it is close to what you feel passionate about, and just spend 1 day, 1 hour, 1 week, whatever the time is, working with a local non-profit, realizing the challenges and the problems they're trying to solve, and more importantly, not just realizing it, but becoming part of the solution they offer. So I think that's, you know, that's, to use a Greek word, that's the definition of empathy, that's philotimo, that's many, many, many things in one go. So please do that. And also, you know, being a diaspora organization, we're always looking for new communities to engage with, people to interact, and, you know, we're always open. Our motto is Oli Mazi. So, you know, I have a LinkedIn profile. I'm of that age. So you can just, you know, text me, write me, whatever, you know, and just, you know, share your insights and ideas. Now, we have 3.5 minutes. So I just want to do a final quick round around, starting with you, Katerina. You weren't prepared. Oh, wait.
I was looking the other
What's
way.
the meaning of life? No, I'm kidding. So starting with you, and, you know, to be a little bit more, let's say, practical with our audience, I want you to share the one key takeaway you hope the audience lives with after this panel discussion.
Okay, I'll say it in English because
Whatever.
it concerns the NHSA, the National Hellenic Student Association. Because when I used to live in Canada, thanks to the NHSA, I met amazing people that, thanks to you now, I see again in Athens. So shout out to Yorgos Rigas, my friend who
Bravo,
lives
Yorgo.
across continents, but yet we remain friends. Even though we do not live in the same country or the same continent. So what I need to say is that every act of volunteer, no matter how small, can strengthen our global Greek identity. So I would only encourage all of you to actively participate. We're from 31 different countries, so it's up to us, through common work, through community, to remain close to each other and build that Greek global identity we have.
I love that. I mean, I love that. I mean, I hope the rest of you have something better to share, because she really put the benchmark up there. Vasiliki, without putting too much pressure on you, how can you outperform a statement like that on the one key takeaway point?
So my one key takeaway, and this goes to the people in the audience and even the people on live. I know that some people are watching from home. So,
Hey.
And I guess my key takeaway is that everyone's involvement here matters, which is very similar to yours. We don't want to just leave this amazing symposium and just walk away and go back home and remember what we've come here and heard. We want to leave, stay connected, and have action. I think action is something that's really important. We're not just observers, we're active participants. So like I said before, if it's attending a church event, if it's attending a university society's little event that they've got, an AGM, if it's sharing a post, if it's liking, anything like that, it really helps, and it continues our culture and keeps it alive. So yeah, that would be my one key takeaway, which is very similar. I think it is the main.
It's the same, but it's you basically make it more emphatic, more, you know, it's basically act, whatever you choose, whatever you feel passionate about, whether it's small, whether it's big, whether it's one person or, you know, 1,000 people joining, then, you know, it's just worth it. Just spend the time and do the effort.
Exactly, and it all starts from somewhere. Like our Greek youth organisation that we've got has only just been around for a year, and we've got over 1,000 something followers.
Bravo.
We've got 7 members.
Bravo.
Yeah. So it starts from, you've got to start somewhere, and it's the community and everybody that's helping that progress.
Excellent. Thank you, Vasiliki. Oh my God. The first time, something is punctual in this country. Right. So, we're in Greece, so this is just to show that we're punctual. We're not.
That's right.
Josefina, without the pressure of the time, just, your one key takeaway from Uruguay.
Okay.
From Josefina, even.
Okay. So I think that volunteering will always be worth it in terms of life experience. We all are very diverse, and there is always something you can learn from volunteering. So apart from contributing to a better life for everybody, I would say that it's a huge step for personal growth, and that you will always learn something more valuable, of volunteering, more than what you could give to others, I think, sometimes.
Thank you. That's great. That's really, really nicely said. Aspasia, your key takeaway point for the audience?
I would say that it's important to remember that volunteering is not a trade. You don't get paid for your services. It's something that you do because you believe that you're going to create, you're giving value to your actions, to time that you're giving, because you believe that there's going to be a result, and even if you don't see it, just be patient. There will be results. When you give good, then you receive good.
So be committed, be persistent, just, keep on doing whatever you're doing because you believe in it and you believe on the end goal and the target and what you're trying to solve for. Yeah. Okay. And last and definitely not least, Magdalini.
Εγώ θέλω να πω ότι volunteering είναι accessible για όλους. Δηλαδή όλοι μπορούν να το κάνουν και άμα έχεις χρόνο, just use that time for something good, και να είναι μικρό, όπως είπατε οι άλλοι, μπορεί να έχει ένα μεγάλο impact για άλλους. Συμφωνώ με όλα που έχετε πει. Αυτά.
Okay.
Just do it.
Just do it. So, whoever of you is in the audience and doesn't volunteer next year, what can we actually do here? We had the best sales pitch on why is it important to volunteer and why it makes a difference. So please follow me in giving a huge round of applause to these wonderful ladies for sharing their stories and their insights.